In pulsus, when you're mapping rolling patterns, which are like two notes in a row on the same hand, or when you're mapping chords, specifically doubles, where you have two notes at the same time, there are only 16 angles you can place the notes in, and they are these. Because you only have 9 tiles in this grid, there are literally no other ways to place two notes in a row. And to get those in-between angles, you can just space the notes a bit. If you take your right hand and look at your index and middle fingers and kind of just, wiggle them around a bit, you can see you can make a lot of the same angles. But you'll also notice that some angles are a lot harder than other ones. For example, if you want to hit this pattern with your middle and index finger, it's pretty easy. But if you want to hit this pattern, which kind of looks the same with your middle and index finger, it is a lot trickier. All of this is due to the range of motion of your fingers and your hands, and it's a big reason of why certain patterns are a lot more comfortable than others. Alright, so take your middle finger of your right hand and put it on 5, and then kind of just rotate your index finger around it. And you'll find that the angles to the left are pretty comfortable, but anytime you have to go to the right, you have to literally twist your entire hand backwards to hit any of them, and it's just super uncomfortable. But by doing this, we can create this like angle heat map where all these green angles are pretty comfortable, the yellow angles are a bit less comfortable, and then the red ones are very not something you want to do. A lot of these angles can actually be ignored. So for example, this red angle, if you want to hit that with your middle finger on 5, you have to literally twist your hand backwards, and it just does not play well. But the opposite angle, this green one, is very easy to hit. You just have your finger in a normal position. So you can just turn that red angle into a green one by just moving your middle finger. And you'll basically never have to worry about this red angle ever, just because you can just solve it by moving your middle finger. And one more comment on the heat map. This has all been from the perspective of the right hand, but for the left hand you just mirror it, and it's the same concepts. You will see that there are some opposite angles that are both yellow, and those are kind of the more problematic angles. You'll notice that they're on diagonals, and this leads into kind of the main topic of reverse diagonals. So these are reverse diagonals, and if you look on the heat map, you'll see that both of the angles for this are yellow and red, so any sort of orientation with your middle and index fingers are going to be pretty tricky and uncomfortable. A lot of maps just won't have reverse diagonals just because they're awkward and the maps don't need the emphasis. Other maps will have reverse diagonals throughout it for emphasis reasons. Occasionally I'll find a map with reverse diagonals just thrown in with some normal patterns and they're not used for emphasis. And I'm not going to tell you when to use reverse diagonals or even how to use reverse diagonals, but they are like objectively more awkward than other patterns, so they should be used carefully. Alright, now I'm going to analyze two sections of this map. Both of them just have some reverse diagonals and just see how they follow like angle emphasis and all that. One section I think uses it pretty well, the other section I do not think the reverse diagonals are necessary. So here's the section I think is pretty good. It's kind of fast, but here's a replay of it anyway. So here are the reverse diagonals. They're reverse diagonal row streams, and slowing it down a little. If you listen to the music, there's this kind of trill in the background. It goes like "bada-ba-bada-bada-bada." I'm sorry for singing. And it basically just chooses to emphasize that with reverse diagonals. I think it's pretty distinct. It plays fine. I think row streams are pretty alright for reverse diagonals, and in a big rolly pattern, just a big rolly stream like this, it's not too bad to transition into reverse diagonals, and I think it works pretty well for emphasis. The other section, all the way over here, there are two reverse diagonals there. So first is this one, we just play with the right hand, and then this one with the left hand. These kind of don't emphasize anything, so if you listen, all of these wubs are basically exactly the same, and most of these follow pretty comfortable angles with like the given hand, except for this one, which does a reverse diagonal. And then over here, kind of a similar thing. If I had to say like what chords should have reverse diagonals, probably these two, because those are much higher pitched and a bit more intense. This is just the exact same as these, but it's reverse diagonal. It's much more uncomfortable, and they're kind of just using it like a normal pattern, despite the fact of like all the awkwardness that it brings, and it kind of just misrepresents like just the, you know, all these sounds are the same. So you should not be emphasizing it like this. And I hope this concept of angles is useful. It helps you find out what's comfortable and isn't comfortable. But also, like, you shouldn't never use uncomfortable angles. There's definitely a time and place for them. They're just a lot trickier to use. And I hope this video helped.